Yo, welcome to Trippy Commentaries. Thanks for joining us as we look at the brand new Resident Evil 7 demo. It's back, guys. We have to get into this because there are some mysteries and, of course, a brand new gameplay style for the series. I'm RJ. Join up for this one. We have Fearless Force. What's up, UC?
Hey, what's up, Trippy? Glad to be back, bro.
Hell yeah, of course, we've always talked about some hidden mysteries in Grand Theft Auto and even some other games. Well, now we have a mystery in the new Resident Evil demo. First of all, we're both huge fans of the series. I think we both like Resident Evil 4 the most in the series. What do you think about the new FPS perspective that this game's coming with?
It's a really, really good idea. I'm loving it so far. I play the demo and I feel so immersed into the game. I turn my head and I feel like something's gonna come at me. It's a good idea and I'm loving it.
Yeah, I feel like it's following up on the footsteps of some of the more popular, it's almost like they're indie games from the past, like Slenderman and whatnot. So the fact that it takes all those games to really bring out the scariest factor to Resident Evil, which should be the scariest game going, but as we know, the past few games really haven't been that great. Resident Evil 6, a lot of people not happy with that one at all. Resident Evil 5, it was okay. I wasn't happy with it, and the main thing about that was it wasn't scary at all, which is one of the reasons why we play Resident Evil 5 and Resident Evil in general. But Resident Evil 4, that was kind of the pinnacle of the series, even though it changed it up from the beginning games, the original games. What do you think as far as the scariest game in the series, UC? Do you think it's Resident Evil 4 or one of the earlier titles?
Me, Resident Evil 4, man. Not only were the creepy environments perfect for the game, but there were those moments when the scary music would just creep around the corner and you're like, oh god, what's about to come? What's about to go down? And that's the beauty of it right there. And then today, and what we're going to discuss is the new Resident Evil has a new perspective, a new first-person mode, which is brilliant. It's always been about this scary feature in the game. Now we can be fully immersed, and it's going to be in VR too, man. Insane. What do you think about the VR as well?
Man, I might get motion sickness with that, but it's definitely going to be scary. That's, like you said, that's what this game's bringing back to the table. This view really makes it a lot more scary. It's going to be epic to see what they have in mind, because this demo, basically, this is like a 15-20 minute mansion, or small shack, I should say, that you have to escape. So it shows you what they have in mind, but knowing Resident Evil, there's going to be a lot of different environments, different facilities you're going to have to go into, perhaps a police station. We've seen plenty in the past. Now, getting to this game in general, I know you mentioned there's a lot of different, almost Easter eggs, different hidden symbols that they're showing off here, and it shows you that, they have the number 7 in mind.
Yeah, they have all kinds of crazy connections with the number 7. They threw in some little details in the game which really revolve around the number 7, knowing that this is the next Resident Evil and it's called Resident Evil 7. It's brilliant, and it's for the viewer's catch, the viewer's eye. I'm actually digging that they're actually putting in Easter eggs in Resident Evil, because it just makes the game so much more better. It's one of the reasons we play GTA up to this day, man. Like, do you know what I'm talking about, Trippy?
Absolutely, man, of course, and that's what's so great about this new game, because this is exactly what we need when we're talking about Resident Evil. Looking at some crazy stuff in the microwave there, but I'd like to see Silent Hill go along the same direction, because this just shows you what the horror genre should be in gaming. We have these new consoles that are more powerful than ever, yet like I said, I still think maybe the Resident Evil remake was the scariest game in the series. That should not be the case. They should be coming out with some very scary games, and that looks to be the case with Resident Evil 7, as we said. Now, I wanted to talk to you about the mystery in this game, because there's separate endings here that you can get. A lot of them end with this guy who just straight up welcomes you to the family and punches you in the face or whatever. I mean, are you making anything out of the early stages of the mystery to Resident Evil 7's demo?
One thing that's going to be really interesting, and I think what they're trying to get our attention with, is just to be more aware of what you're doing in the game. Timing is a factor in the demo with what the endings are. There's certain endings that you really have to just run to, like, get the fuse or get the key and take it upstairs and do this and that. And I think it's just really showing off how much potential this game has to reality, because in reality, everything's based on timing, But it's really cool, because Resident Evil's always been about kind of like mystery, scary, and we got like this virus that goes around Raccoon City, I'm pretty sure there's more deeper stuff into it than that. And I think this potential that this game has is that they're going to throw in Easter eggs revolving like the virus or what happened in Raccoon City, certain clues that even give bigger things about the storyline. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that would be great, man. I'd love if they finished off some loose ends to the series because things just got really crazy. We talked about Resident Evil 4 a little bit off camera. That game brought so many new storyline elements to basically the series in whole. And then I felt like with 5 and 6, they just left some things off, and even some of the storylines that they finished off, it just wasn't really done right. Really wasn't done in the true Resident Evil fashion from the early games. Resident Evil 1, you start off at that mansion. Everything is real humble in that game, and that might be what we get out of this one. And then moved on to Resident Evil 2. That's when things started to get more action-packed. You start at the police station, you move underground into this huge facility. I think that we might get some of those elements from those first 2 Resident Evils, and as you can see from the demo, be a lot less action-packed. You can see possibly 7 dolls hanging here, another reference to Resident Evil 7. We also want to point you in the direction of a live stream that UC recently did. I'll put a link in the description where he was trying to look into a bunch of the different endings and different things you can find. I mean, there's some items you can find that really have no meaning at this point. There's a bigger picture with this demo, UC, and I can't wait to see what comes of it when the game finally gets released.
Speaking of Easter eggs and mysteries, Trippy, the demo has just came out not that long ago, and we already have like a huge mystery in the demo, and it's a pretty small house in the demo. Can you believe that? I mean, we got a dummy finger that seems to have no use, and we got an axe for melee, which seems to say defend yourself with the axe. But we have no possible idea what we're supposed to do with them. There's a lot of people that have been live streaming, trying to figure out what to do, but up to this day and moment right now, it hasn't been uncovered. What do you think about this, Trippy? Does it really trip your mind?
Yeah, I feel like there's going to be something that hasn't been discovered, of course, in the demo that someone will find before the big game comes out, and that'll pique everybody's interest. And I just can't wait to see if they have some truly hidden secrets, because that's really what this kind of game needs. You can see creepy guy walks by. We haven't had a scary game that's really taken advantage of some of those elements. I've had reports you see about ghosts being sighted, and I know you said you were pretty spooked out by that guy in your live stream. What's up with the ghosts and stuff? Do you think that there's going to be some, maybe some supernatural events that you can just so happen to catch that you might not even see if you're not looking hard enough?
I definitely agree, and I love that they're doing this because when I first played, I had no idea there was ghosts. They show up so fast and disappear so fast, it's crazy. It just makes me think, like, when the whole game comes out, are there going to be a lot more of those moments where things just, spawn in real quick and disappear at certain times and you won't even notice it? Makes me feel like there's going to be a lot of Easter eggs in this game, and that's one thing we're all into. But interestingly enough about the ghosts, there seems to be 7 ghost sightings, which ties into Resident Evil 7 being number 7. There's also 7 ragdolls floating in one of the rooms. There's 7 items that you can pick up, and that's just a weird sequence. It's not a weird sequence, it makes sense, but it's kind of bizarre, but it's kind of cool at the same time.
Oh yeah, man, I'm super excited for this game. I actually have to pick a PS4 up just for Resident Evil 7 alone at this point. You can see the mannequins turn around, super creepy, and hopefully this is going to bring Resident Evil back into the limelight, because as I said, we've been pretty disappointed with the past few games. Looks like we finally have a game we can truly be excited about.
The interesting thing about the new demo, Trippy, is that there happens to be a VHS tape you can collect and pop right into the VCR. And what happens in the VCR tape, it's exactly super mind-blowing, because there's 3 characters. 3 characters, they all happen to die, right? Well, interesting enough, after the videotape ends, which is when you start the game, there happens to be this new character involved into the game, which is not from the VHS tape, but they make it seem like as if one of the characters survives and you have to escape, but they're not from the VHS tape. So what do you think about this, Trippy? It's kind of like a mindfuck.
My guess is that they're going to take one of the characters from the past Resident Evil 7, or Resident Evil games I should say, and get them involved, and that's maybe the missing link. But it's definitely a great question, UC. Hopefully, we get some great answers. I really think that Capcom's going to put the most effort we've ever seen out of a Resident Evil game. Once again, the popularity of some of these other games, even Death by Daylight, I think it's called, games like that are so popular, and they're able to really give you that fear, that tension that a great horror game should do. And by the looks of this game, not only you're going to have the main plot, but you'll have all these hidden Easter eggs, hidden ghosts, hidden things to find that are always going to keep you on edge. Guys, make sure to stay tuned to Fearless Force's channel and here on Trippy Commentaries, as we will be looking deeper into Resident Evil 7. I really feel like, this might be the best horror game of all time just by looking at the demo, Fearless Force.
Yeah, one last thing before we go, guys. Like I said, there's 3 characters. They all happen to die. And interestingly enough, after the VHS tape, there's 3 mannequins in the house. 3 mannequins. Now, is that a reference to the 3 characters that died? I don't know. But there's 3 mannequins upstairs, and if you try hitting them with the axe, they don't break. But there's also another 3 mannequins that spawn upstairs in the 3rd floor, down in the basement, and then somewhere in the house. But those 3 mannequins are breakable, but the others aren't. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know why 3 mannequins are breakable and the other 3 aren't. I mean, they're just mannequins. They're all the same. Like, what? That's crazy. Like, I don't get it, Trippy. Do you have any idea?
I don't get it either, but I have a feeling that we'll definitely figure this game out. We'll see, because this might be the most mysterious game since Grand Theft Auto 5. That's for sure. We really appreciate you guys joining us up for the video. Let us know what you think about Resident Evil 7. We'll catch you guys again soon. I'm RJ for UC. As always, stay trippy.